Let's go and have a blast!
Kit explanation. How Anka's kit work. Anka is a physical weapon which scales from the highest physical or flame offensive stats. Regardless of being labeled as a flame weapon, she does not deal flame damage, but she still operates as one. As for her actual team role, she is a capable main DPS and a great sub DPS. She also provides a decent shatter and a damage buffs, but most of them are locked behind her Simulacrum trait. Anka's weapon possesses a special passive, Detachment, which is a damage dot placed on enemies who gets hit with the first swing of her skill. This passive contributes a decent amount of Anka's damage, and it can't be multiplied with a damage buffs, with a few exceptions, primarily being a Titan rare stats and critical damage, since this effect can in fact crit. The final damage of this effect can be further increased by a 30% when paired with a Volt or Frost weapon. This pretty much means that Anka can't benefit fully from most of the damage buffs provided by units like Fiona or even her own Simulacrum trait. Gameplay and moveset. How does she play? Anka's basic attack string is relatively decent, but not preferable combo, as it falls behind previous physical weapons like Asuka. And it's also worth to mention, it's even weaker when performed in the air. Her best DPS combo is either 4 or 5 normal attacks followed with a dodge attack. However, due to the long animation before last attack hits, it's best to avoid this rotation, given it doesn't leave too much room for mistake. Technically, a continuous usage of dodge attacks, especially of forward ones, is superior over any combos due to the high multipliers and ability to cancel dodge animation very early. But it can't be really spammed, unless paired with Yan Miao, which adds a couple of dodge resets per rotation. Lastly, there is a bonking attack, which is performed by holding attack button after doing 1 to 3 press inputs, but it's just bad for general use, lacking on damage and mobility. However, the initial and the final hit can be used as an instant approach move. This utility is also available for dodge attacks, as long as there's no significant obstacle on the way. The weapon skill can be either pressed or held to strike with approximately 1 or 2 swings. While continuously held, the skill provides 50% damage reduction and a hyper body, which expires after a set amount of time, after a skill cast, or by manual cancellation. When a target is hit with a fully charged skill, a Disorient debuff is applied for 16 seconds. This debuff deals 1 instance of damage per second and up to 3 additional follow-up hits when performing a normal or dodge attack with Anka's weapon. As for the regular hold attacks on the ground and in the air, they are more of a gimmick rather than anything else. The Discharge Skill is overall a downgrade in terms of a damage. The whole skill lasts over 3 seconds, but provides iframes for less than a half of its duration. In most case scenarios, it should be jump cancelled or used only as an emergency iframe. Weapons advancements, their usage and estimated value. The first advancement allows to trigger an additional damage instance during the Disorient effect, by lowering trigger interval by 2 seconds. When fully utilized, this translates to about 10% damage increase of DPS combo. In practice, this advancement contributes around 5% damage increase over A0, and only when Anka is used as a main DPS. A3 allows to skip a charging process required for a second swing. This advancement is more of a quality of life improvement rather than a direct damage improvement, allowing to shorten rotation by about 2 seconds. And although this advancement comes with a physical resistance shred, it's important to know that many enemies in the game does not have a resistance stat in the first place. In a game content where it works, however, the resistance shred may become a very substantial damage improvement. A5 and A6 should be considered as a high-investment advancements. The first one lowers enemy damage and aggro towards a player, which can be helpful against highly mobile enemies, while the other one simply increases the final damage buff from 12 to 35%. Anka's matrices. What they really provide. Anka's matrices are pretty straightforward. 2 pieces provides a physical attack buff and a relatively small bonus for Anka's heavy attacks, while the 4-piece set grants a standard, unconditional final damage buff, plus 15% crit damage buff if Anka's weapon is equipped. This set also shortens the trigger intervals of Disorient effect, essentially doubling its damage per second. Team building suggestions and the final statement. Anka fits very well in a short 20 seconds rotation teams, and quite decently in a 30 seconds ones. When it comes to team building, it's worth to consider pairing her with a unit that can provide either a shield or healing, on top of a hyperbody if she is played as a main DPS. In a long-term gameplay, her most important advancement is A3. But overall, none of them is really required for her kit to function properly.